every time I established a barrier, my son and daughter-in-law continued to violate it by breaking into my apartment, looking through my belongings, and ignoring me. In the morning, everything began in a manner that was peaceful, almost gentle, and in a manner that seemed off from the moment I opened my eyes. That was the moment when everything finally clicked. The narrative that you are going to listen to is a work of fiction that was crafted by the writing team belonging to the channel Her Pain. Real-life scenarios serve as the basis for this work, which aims to teach lessons about the importance of family, emotions, and human values. An illustrative aspect is shared by all of the characters and events. The name I go by is Karen Hadley. The age of my age is 68. When I awoke, I heard Milo growling at the door to the bedroom, a deep, anxious rumble that he lets out only when something has changed in his life. Although I made an effort to calm him down, he continued to fix his gaze on the space beneath the door, as if someone had been standing there. As soon as I entered the corridor, I saw that the atmosphere was all over the place, as if someone had just walked through it a few minutes ago. As I approached the kitchen, I came to a halt. Where I had left my coffee grounds was not where I found them. When the container was placed next to the sink, it was arranged in such a way that it appeared as though an unknown person had taken a moment to correct it. Age, exhaustion, and distraction were the reasons I told myself. These days, I find myself telling myself that more frequently than I would like to admit. Later on, I noticed the jacket. It was hanging over the back of a chair that I found a windbreaker that I had worn 2 days previously. That was never where I hung it. I never hung anything from chairs in any way. A number of decades ago, I was pounded into breaking the behavior. When I lifted it up, the fabric still had a trace of warmth to it, as if someone had touched it just a few minutes ago. The answer was not clear to me. Milo rubbed his face against the fabric, sniffed it, and then retreated while maintaining a low whine. I have examined the locks. The door was tightly shut, fastened, and properly aligned, despite the fact that I was already certain that they had not been touched. Nothing seemed normal, despite the fact that everything appeared normal. I was unable to provide evidence of it at this time. In spite of this, I had a strong feeling that someone had been inside. The feeling of intrusion, which was icy and biting, crept beneath my skin, and it was something that I was unable to explain away. There was a person who had entered my house, and regardless of what was taking place, I could sense that it was beginning to pile up towards something that I would no longer be able to ignore when the key in my drawer began to signify danger rather than protection. Initially, I contacted Tyler. Despite the fact that my hands were shaking, I managed to keep my voice firm. "Have you been here the day before?" I inquired about it, the interior of my apartment. He made no attempt to evade. "I agree, Mom. It was a surprise to me that I came by to see how you were doing. You did not pick up when I called you." His statement seemed to justify all he said. "I used the key that was spare, which is why you decided to give it to me." With my palm, I pressed it on the counter. "You're alone. It's a precaution. It's a violation," I said. He exhaled loudly. "Mom, you're being dramatic. The window was unlocked today. Anyone could break in. You should be glad we're watching out for you." "You unlocked it," I said. A pause. Then, "If I did, it was because you forget to air things out. Don't twist this." I stared at the camera's red light, blinking like a pulse that wasn't mine. Jessa's note, Tyler's camera, my window, my drawers, my life. I felt something inside me harden, a quiet certainty building under the fear. They weren't going to stop on their own. I called them both and told them to come over. I kept my voice calm because if I let it shake, they'd use that against me. Milo stayed close to my leg as I waited. The moment Tyler stepped inside, he glanced around like he was checking for hazards. Jessa hovered behind him, arms folded, eyes darting to the shelves where the camera used to sit. "I removed the device," I said, "and I want my spare key back." Tyler blinked once, slowly. "Mom, don't start this again." No, I'm not going to begin anything. I'm breaking it off. The key now. Jessa let out a breathy little gasp. Karen, please don't do this. We just don't want to bury you like we buried my mother. She fell in her bathroom alone. Do you know what that does to a family? That has nothing to do with what you're doing to me. It has everything to do with it, she said. You're at that age where accidents happen. Tyler stepped closer. This is pride, Mom. You think asking for help means you're weak. You aren't weak. You're older. It's dangerous for you to be alone. I've lived alone for years. He shook his head. But not safely. Look at last week. You left the stove on. I turned it off, I said. That's mine, and I stepped forward. The object was held up by her. Her laughter was gentle, yet it was piercing enough to cut. A new blanket? Isn't this a little bit old-fashioned? She said. Tyler added his 2 cents. While rubbing his body against my leg, Milo hissed in a low voice. We're only checking to see if it's safe. You order random stuff online. I added in a low voice. I did not ask for your assistance. A condescending smile was given by Tyler. That is the key to the issue, Mom. You really ought to. As soon as I returned home from the grocery shop, Milo ran ahead of me and began barking in the direction of the hallway. The sound of his nails clacking against the floor was distracting. I placed the packages on the ground and followed him, my stomach quickly becoming more constricted. There was a gap in the door to the bedroom. It is never left in that state by me. When I got inside, the latch on my window was turned up and unlocked. I remained motionless for a brief period of time, allowing the reality to enter my bones. Someone had returned to this location. Having left my laundry basket full that morning, it was now sitting on the bed, folded up in a neat and tidy manner. This level of organization was something I had never asked for. Shirts were stacked according to color, socks were paired, and underwear was organized like an exhibition. After moving to the dresser, I noticed that my receipts, which I had previously stored in an old ceramic bowl, were arranged in stacks. The grocery store, the pharmacy, and the telephone. There was someone who had gone through each one, touching every aspect of my life with their hands to do so. In the middle of the bed was a piece of paper that you could see, the writing style of Jess. Without a doubt, the loops were present. Honestly, you shouldn't be living in such a manner. My mouth became parched. Milo howled in a low voice. I went back into the living room and walked in. At that moment, I was able to see it. There was a small black device that was hidden behind a stack of books, and it was only now that the stack had moved that it was apparent. No more than the size of a thumb. A red light that is blinking. It is a camera. I increased my proximity to him and noticed that there was a piece of tape on the back that stated, "For emergencies only, love, Tyler." I instantly dialed his number. "You put a camera in my home," Tyler responded without any hesitation despite the situation. "Good, you found it. Now I can monitor things if something happens. You filmed my living room without my permission. It's not filming unless something triggers it," he stated with satisfaction, "and you need it." I finished the call while staring at the key that was in the drawer. I could feel the shift occurring inside of me. The weight of the metal was as heavy as it had ever been. The limit that I believed existed had been removed, and they had already come to the conclusion that it was theirs. Without making a phone call, Tyler turned up the following afternoon. The sound of the lock turning occurred just as I was beginning to move toward the entrance, but by the time I arrived, he had already inside the building. Milo became rigid, his ears unfurled. His announcement came as he entered the room. "Mom, I'm reorganizing your paperwork," he said. No greeting, no permission, just a statement. "My paperwork is fine where it is," I responded to him. The man gave a headshake. "No, it's chaos. I made new folders. Taxes, medical, utilities, banking, you've mixed years together. It's confusing. It's confusing because you touched it, I responded in response. He did not raise his head. My goal is to make your life as manageable as possible. Jessa entered the room after him, her phone already out of it. She directed the camera in the direction of my living room. She mumbled, "Oh, wow, this is even worse than yesterday when I was here." "What are you doing?" I wondered to myself. Her thumbs were flying over the screen as she said, "Relax, I'm sending it to the family group chat. Everyone needs to see how much assistance you really need." A moment later, the notice flashed on my phone and made a buzzing sound. "This is a picture of my coffee table," an emoji that looks like it's laughing. My tone became more choppy. "Get rid of that." The tone that she employed was sweet. "It's nothing more than family, Karen. We have some concerns." I took a deep breath, keeping my words in check and poised. "Give up taking pictures of my house." In the direction of the kitchen, she passed by me. The parcel that I had ordered 2 days ago was still sealed and sitting on the counter, or so I had believed. It was taken up by Jessa, who then tore it open. As I moved ahead, I shouted, "Let's see what you bought." "For use in times of crisis," I handed it to you. "To put it another way," he added, dropping his voice, "your health is an urgent matter. You live by yourself. You have a tendency to forget things." "I don't easily forget stuff," I whispered about it. Prior to my even being aware that she was on the conversation, Jess's voice could be heard floating in from his side. "Our only concern is with you, Corin. To tell you the truth, your pantry is a complete mess. 50% of the items in there are processed garbage. I discarded the cans that had passed their expiration date." "Thank you very much. It was you who discarded my meal." She told me that I had prevented you from being ill. It was almost like a favor. Additionally, the location of your prescriptions was incorrect. I repositioned them so that you will see them more frequently by placing them near the refrigerator. Then I answered, "I put them where I want them to be." A timid chuckle came from Jessa's mouth. "Indeed, but you are getting older now." "Help with the systems, Jessa? That was not a choice that you made on your own. Please do not touch my meals or my medication again. Thank you." There was a cut from Tyler. "For my part, I also logged into your electric account. It was a huge bill for you. I made the necessary adjustments. It is no longer necessary for you to be concerned about that." My chest became more taut. "I don't even know how you got me to log in. When you asked me to assist you in comparing plans the previous year, you forgot to take it off the refrigerator. I was able to save it. After that, I'm just assisting." "Are you assisting?" It was as if a thorn had been inserted beneath my skin when I heard that word. "I told you not to use the key even once more, except if I tell you otherwise." A brief pause transpired. Not very long, but just long enough for both of them to mull about the possibility of ignoring me. First to speak was Jessa. "We wouldn't have to come over if you would just pick up your phone in the first place." Tyler had a sigh. "It is because we care that we are doing this. Be thankful for what you have." Milo made a low barking sound at my feet. "You did not think of me as a person, but rather as property. You are not being fair." Tyler lost his temper. "We were attempting to safeguard you." "No," I responded by saying, "you were trying to control me." Silence. Heavy, offended silence. I continued by saying, steady and slow, "Here are the rules moving forward. You don't get access to my home. We meet in public places if I agree to meet. You stay out of my finances and every account with my name on it, and we communicate only by text or email." Jessa let out a sharp breath. "You're punishing us." "I'm protecting myself." Tyler's tone hardened. "Why didn't you tell us you were moving? We thought something terrible happened." "Then give me your new address. At least let me know where you are." "No, Mom. When you're ready to respect me, I said, not manage me, not monitor me, not override me, then we can talk again. In addition, I shall pursue legal action in the event that either of you breaks these boundaries once more. This is not a conversation at all. In order to prevent any of them from arguing, I terminated the call. I placed the phone on the table to the side of the chair that I use on the balcony. Milo hopped onto my lap and circled about twice before settling down against my ribs, where he remained warm and steady. My heartbeat actually felt like it belonged to me for the first time in what seemed like months. I listened to the murmur of the metropolis below. At a distance, there is silence. The sensation of freedom was not dramatic. Simple, sturdy, and deserved was how it felt. I contemplated the intervals that had passed. The dread, the intrusion, and the incredulity that members of my own family could transcend such boundaries. Furthermore, I came to the realization that I wish I had learned many years earlier. A lack of regard for one another is not love. Possession is the term. In addition, restrictions are not walls. You are protected by these doors, which are equipped with locks. Leave a comment or subscribe to receive additional stories that will serve as a reminder that you are not alone if you have experienced something similar or if you are in the process of reestablishing your peace. Tap. In the event that you were given a single opportunity to reconstruct your life according to your own terms, which borders would you first defend? They are completely possessed. Thank you for letting me know. Don't tell them anything, I responded back to her. I appreciate you letting me know. In the morning of the following day, Sunday, they became more aggressive. Of course, they are the reason you had to leave. The hospital was summoned by Tyler. Having gotten 3 consecutive voicemails inquiring about whether or not I had been admitted under a different identity, I was aware of the situation. After that, he made a call to the authorities. Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a voicemail from a law enforcement officer was received. It had been 2 days since he had last heard from you, and he expressed his concern to us. Just give him a call to let him know that you are well. At the end of Sunday night, I deleted it. The total number of calls that were forgotten reached 42. Jess's most recent communication was the one that provided me with all of the information that I required. Karen, if you are going to choose to injure us in this manner, I am at a loss for what it is that I can do next. You are acting in a self-centered manner. Is it self-centered? This is the exact word that they used when they invaded my personal space, my privacy, and my safety. When I eventually turned off the phone fully, Mylon lifted his head and smiled. While I stroked behind his ears, I felt a relaxation in my chest that I hadn't had in several months. Their panic did not come across to me, not any longer. Let them experience the emptiness that they had imposed on me. This was not an act of vengeance. Balance was achieved. Monday morning was the day when I turned my phone back on. The buzzing was continuous. More calls that were not answered. More messages, but I chose to disregard all of them with the exception of the final one. Today, Tyler has sent us a call. And so I did. His response came on the very first ring. What happened to you, Mom? What exactly is going on here? I am not in danger, I stated. The only thing you need to know at this moment is that. Without delay, Jess's voice entered the scene. Karen, you had us trembling to the point of death. You can't just disappear without a trace. I have not disappeared, I said. That I relocated. In addition, I relocated since you broke into my house once more. In front of my landlord, you lied. A camera was concealed in my living room by you. The perfect day is Friday. Not even Tyler's sister was aware of it. Neighbors were not informed by me. I didn't come clean to anyone. Any individual who had any knowledge whatsoever about my building had the potential to inadvertently lead them back to me. Silence was now a form of protection. In the afternoon of that day, I opened my closet and opened the first box that I had. The head of Milo was tilted as he observed from the hallway. As I became aware of the change, I slowly packed 2 sweaters, a stack of books, and framed photographs that I were still concerned about. I was put at ease by the beat. When I wrapped each item, it was as if I was reclaiming a piece of me that they had been attempting to control. The sound reverberated throughout the room as I used tape to secure the first box while it was being sealed. There was no sense of melancholy. It had a conclusive effect. It was no longer my property to occupy this location. Furthermore, I was not going to wait for them to try to force their way back inside. They learned the news on the morning of Saturday. I was brushing Milo's fur in my new kitchen when I saw that my phone lighted up with 7 missed calls in a matter of 10 minutes. This was the moment that I realized what was going on. I chose not to respond. It's not even that I listened. The number of calls increased by a factor of 2 by noon. By dusk, they had increased by a factor of 3. As I was making tea, I rested the phone on its face. On Sunday, the true terror started to set in. Before I had the opportunity to stop it, Tyler's voice made its way through my voicemail at 8 o'clock in the morning. "You, Mom! What happened to you, Mom? It was impossible for me to unlock your door with my key, and everything that was inside was gone. Could you please call me back?" After 10 minutes, Jess's tears were heard on the subsequent voicemail that she received. "Please don't make me laugh, Karen. Our initial assumption was that anything had taken place. Just let us know that you are safe." 30 minutes after that, fear was transformed into wrath. "Mother, this is very terrible." There was a message that Tyler sent in. "To vanish in such a manner is impossible. You can't treat us in such a manner, Stu." Milo was calmly chewing on his toy as he curled up next to me, after which I put down my mug and watched him. The room was full of tranquility, the kind of tranquility that they had taken away from me for a number of months. 26 calls were not returned by the time noon rolled around. I silenced the voice in the room. Rachel sent me a text message late in the afternoon. "At your previous location, they have just arrived. If anyone spotted you, they inquired about it." The call came from my landlady 5 minutes later. "This is Karen. I am Mr. Reelston, and I am here. Will there be no problems at all?" The pit of my stomach sank. In that case, why wouldn't it be? The throat was cleansed by him. "How come?" "The office received a call from your daughter-in-law who stated that you might be in danger. It was my understanding that we would not be able to intervene without first checking with you. I am phoning to see how you are doing." I lowered my gaze and closed my eyes. "I am doing well, Thomas." It was clear that she was really worried. He said in a soft voice. "I'm not confused," she said. "You've been confused, leaving windows open, misplacing things." "I'm not confused. I stated that I did not neglect to find anything. Unauthorized entry was granted to my son and his wife into my residence." There was a lengthy pause. "Yes, I was unaware of that. Currently, they are located outside." "When I was knocking on my door," I said. He paused for a moment before responding. "I am able to call security if you do not mind." "No, I'll take care of it." And then I hung up and waited. The pounding eased down, and finally it stopped altogether, and voices became muffled. "No more debates, please. There will be no more pleading for limits." I required a distance that they were unable to cross. I searched for rental properties all across Portland until I came upon an ad that drew my attention. A building located in the Pearl District that has a doorman, an elevator that requires a keycard, and a stringent policy about guest logs. Every single step of the entrance is designed to ensure safety. Not trust, but rather protocol is what protects privacy. I took a tour of it the following morning. The lobby was a serene place. When the assistant at the front desk asked for my identification in order to register me as a visitor, he was aware, and more significantly, in charge of who entered the building. The feeling of relief enveloped me. This is just what I required. Having said that, I would like to sign the lease. He gave a courteous smile. "As early as Friday, we are able to coordinate your move-in." I gave a slight nod. "You think you did?" The response he gave was, "You forget things." "I don't forget my own life," I murmured in a low voice as Jess's eyes were filled with tears that came out of nowhere. "You're overreacting. The only thing we want is to make your life longer. Why do you choose to fight us?" "Due to the fact that you opened my packages, my prescriptions were reorganized by you. You added a camera to the system. It was you that opened my window." Tyler's jaw became more tense. "We did those things because you are oblivious to the fact that you are putting yourself in danger. We are attempting to save you from your own actions." A faint snarl came from Milo. There was a rise in the fur along his spine. My eyes were drawn to both of them, two individuals who asserted their love for me while simultaneously removing chunks of my independence one by one through unwanted intrusions. "Let me have my key." Again, I must say. In response, Tyler said no. "In addition, if you decide to take it back, you will leave us with no other option except to continue checking in any way that we can. Now, let's talk about safety." I felt a change occur within me at that moment. Clarity, not wrath or fear, is what is needed. More important to them was their fear than it was for me to be free. In addition, they had no intention of letting go of him. A locksmith was hired the following morning by me. In a little under an hour, a man who was quiet and in his 40s changed both of the locks. Milo remained seated next to me throughout the entire process, his ears alert, as if he had finally experienced something regaining its position. When I finally got my hands on the new keys, I let out a breath for the first time in several days. At some point in the late afternoon, the pounding began. When Tyler's fist struck the door, it was so forceful that the frame shook. "Don't be shy, Mom." At this same moment, I did not move from my current position, which was sitting on the couch with Milo shivering against my leg. "I am aware that you have altered the locks," he yelled. "Do you find that to be humorous? Do you believe that you can prevent us from coming in?" There was a crack in his voice that sounded like either fear or anger. I chose not to respond. "Open this door, Mom, please." There was a remark made by Jess. "Precise. This is a risky situation. I'm sorry, Karen, but your thinking is confusing." I was able to hear her phone ringing.